Good morning, and thank you for making Tiger TV Network your source for news and information here at Middleton High School. I'm Brooke Pulling. Topping news this morning, a proposal to change graduation requirements. Right now, students must have at least a 2.0 GPA, pass the Algebra 1 EOC, and must pass reading. But those requirements may soon be a thing of the past if lawmakers in Tallahassee have their way. It's a story covered on the front page of last week's Tampa Bay Times. Joining me on set this morning is Director of Middleton's Guidance Office, Ms. Rome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So explain the proposal that's being considered.
Well, there's several proposals being considered by Representative Mazzullo, who's the chair of the Pre-K-12 Innovation Committee. Along with his chairing that committee, our former school board member and chair of Hillsborough County Public Schools, Susan Valdez, is also a senior ranking member of that committee. So the proposals that he has in place coming up in the spring include perhaps substituting an industry certification exam in lieu of the assessments. Currently, the FSA reading and the Algebra 1 EOC are the required assessments, but he's planning to consider maybe his students passing an industry certification exam to count for that. Additionally, Susan Valdez has mentioned a mastery-based performance assessment. And it wouldn't necessarily be a test per se, but maybe a project or a presentation that the student might need. There are some other variables that play into those proposals. However, those are the major ones right now.
Do you know what steps need to be taken in place to make the changes official?
Well, certainly he's already initiated the first step, and that is to announce that these are the considerations that he has on the floor. Of course, if you remember your civics class back in the day, you know there are several steps to a bill becoming a law. So he's going to, of course, present this to his committee and then, of course, to the floor in May when the legislative session begins. And then once that gets through the floor, we'll see if the Senate approves as well. But usually there are a lot of other items that are attached to a bill, so it becomes very difficult to pass a bill if the attachments are not appropriate.
Any idea on when the changes will happen if approved?
Well, if and when they are approved, we know the session opens up in May, and sometimes they might even have to go for a special session if they cannot agree on some of the bills that they had on the floor. But it depends also on where our contract stands with our current test contractor. Pearson is our major contractor for the assessments, and so we have to consider, is that going to be something that's going to become more of a financial burden to cancel the contract, or are they going to wait until that contract expires? It might be something in addition to, they might still continue to do the assessments, and if students decide to use one of the other alternatives, then so be it.
How do you feel students will benefit?
Oh, I believe without question, the students will benefit. Currently, there's a lot of burden on the students with these assessments. Some students have taken the assessment at least 4 to 5 times and still have not passed, and in some instances, their scores have dropped. So tapping into their other skill sets, such as an industry certification exam, or perhaps a career piece, or a project, or a presentation, certainly will benefit the students. It allows them to get that coveted high school diploma, because right now you can't get anywhere without a high school diploma. So it's important for us to advantage the students to receive that high school diploma by any means necessary.
And what are your overall opinions on the proposal?
Well, I certainly agree with the proposal. I know that it was a proposal up last year in the legislative session. It did not gain traction with the idea of reducing the amount of tests. In fact, it looked like they added more assessments rather than reducing them. So I am definitely in favor of considering alternatives to those assessments.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I think also I noticed that one of the proposals, it seemed like it was from Representative Valdez, mentioned a career counselor be assigned to the students to help guide them in their career path. Ironically, we do already have counselors who are supposed to be doing that. But the unfortunate piece behind that is that we're so inundated with assessments that we don't have the opportunity to provide that level and quality of support that all students deserve. So certainly if they're looking at hiring anyone, if they reduce the number of assessments, they'll have the availability of all counselors to support that measure.
Ms. Young, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Honoring Black History, today we pay tribute to Joe Clark, an educator and renowned principal of the historic and in some ways infamous Eastside High School in Paterson, New Jersey.
They say one bad apple spoils the bunch. Well, what about 300? Rotten to the core. Now, you're right, Mrs. Barrett. This is a war. It's a war to save 2,700 other students, most of whom don't have the basic skills to pass the state exam. Now, if you want to help us, fine. Sit down with your kids and make them study at night. Don't get your family
Clark was the
off
subject of the 1989 hit movie Lean on Me, starring Morgan Freeman. Clark gained national attention for this unconventional and somewhat controversial disciplinary measures to improve the quality of education at Eastside. He expelled more than 300 students who were often tardy and absent from school or for refusing to follow the rules. His method of operation resulted in higher test scores by the students who remained. Clark is now retired and lives not far from here in Newberry, Florida, near Gainesville. That's all for today. I'm Brooke Poulin. Thank you for making Tiger TV Network a part of your day. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Same time, same place, same channel. Until then, make it a great day in the land of the Tigers.